And you missed the big exciting news. Some guy told me to his today while I was streaming.
Oh, that's nice of him.
Wasn't it nice?
What
Such a
a nice
nice,
person.
such a nice gentleman, as Vid said. It was great. Good fun.
Official, unofficial, official, unofficial, official, unofficial. It's definitely not official. Official, unofficial, official, unofficial, official, unofficial. It's Jess.
Hello and welcome to the official Unofficial New Girl podcast. I am your host, Al, and with me is my co-host, Erica. Hi, Erica.
What's up, buddy?
How's it going?
Oh, I'm so happy to be back at it.
Nice. And at the bottom, we have Please Be Excited. Ben at Please Be Excited. How's it going, Ben?
Good, buddy. What's up?
How's it going?
Yeah, great.
Today, we're going to be talking about season 1, episode 11, Jess and Julia, that originally aired on January 31st, 2012. The episode was written by Love Rocky and directed by Jake Kasdan. We have one recurring guest star that we're fans of,
Yeah.
Lizzie Kaplan as Julia. And we have, I believe, is this Sadie's first appearance? The lesbian gynecologist.
I think it is. I think so.
Because she wasn't introduced, but she was just mentioned as if she was, and I had to go back and check, and I don't see her in any other previous episodes.
She's one of my favorites. I love her. She's fantastic.
We have her. That's June Diane Raphael as Sadie, the lesbian gynecologist, and we have Callie Hawk as Shelby, and Lizzie Kaplan, of course, as Julia. So, a quick recap of the episode. Jess is enjoying having Julia around the loft and tells her that she has tampons hidden everywhere around the place. Schmidt complains about all the damp, humid girls that are making the place damp and humid because he every time he reaches out for his towel, it's always damp. Jess reveals she has plans to see Julia later to help her with a speeding ticket. That's when Nick addresses Julia as the woman he's sleeping with. Then we get an amazing sophisticated guy impression from Jess. That's got to be in my top 5, top 3, maybe even characters. Winston debates calling Shelby a girl he hasn't seen since he got back from Latvia. Jess then shows Julia her ticket because she's helping her out with that. And Julia says a judge might go for Jess's whole thing, referring to her lovely disposition. The character we love and adore, Jess. So when confronted with Julia's behavior, Nick is baffled until Jess reveals that Julia has asked her if Nick was seeing other people. Nick then reveals to Julia that he knows about her questioning Jess. They start having a back and forth about how they're both dating or seeing other people, and everyone's like, they're both bragging, which is very relatable because I've been in that situation where just both people refuse to say, I want to be exclusive. And it's just like, I just do it. Jess finds Julia, tries to apologize. Julia's having none of it and saying she can see what Jess is up to. Jess cuts her off, and finally Julia says she doesn't like her, and she asks Jess to leave because she's about to cry, and Jess is the last person she wants to cry in front of. This scene in the bathroom is amazing. It's one of my favorite scenes because I love both characters. Meanwhile, Winston works things out with Shelby after a disappointing date where he discovered he had no game other than just being a basketball player. Julia ends up going to court with Jess to help her, but Jess just pleads guilty and ends that. Meanwhile, in the hall, like walking out of court, another great scene between the two characters. Julia mocks Jess, and Jess tells her off. Then she tells her to just talk to Nick and be honest about her feelings. Then Schmidt and Jess discuss getting a towel rack to avoid damp towels in the loft. That's when Nick comes home and asks to talk to Julia, who's crocheting with Jess. In the bathroom, then Schmidt reveals the new towel racks, thinking they'll solve the damp towel problem, but his towel is still damp. Nick quickly solves the mystery by clarifying that he thinks his towel is the one Schmidt also thinks is his, and they've been using the same towel all along. So, let's start with our Nick's tips. Do we have any Nick moments that we want to throw out there and see?
Nick is great in this episode. It's probably one of my favorite Nick episodes so far this season. But I think out of all of them, other than when him and Julia are going back and forth at the bar, she's like, I've needed to keep running shoes in my purse because it's like a marathon, me running back and forth from all of the sex I'm having. And he's like, well, I'm having sex right now behind the bar and she's on top. Figure that out. And I think that's between that one and then at the end of the episode where they finally are like, you're my boyfriend. And he's like, I don't like labels. And she goes, you're going to carry my books at school. And then he's like, and you can wear my Leatherman jacket. And she's like, I think you mean Letterman. And he's like, no, with the leather sleeves. And she's like, they letter. And he's like, no, it's Leatherman. And that just calling it a Leatherman jacket, I don't know why that is so funny to me, but I think that's hilarious. But I think those are my two favorite Nick's tips this week for sure.
Nice. I love those. I love the Leatherman.
It's hilarious.
It's on my
it's
list.
So funny.
Ben, what about you? What are your next tips?
I've got a few here. So I've got I'm a mailman, but instead of mail, I deliver hot. Oh, sorry. Instead of mail, it's hot sex I deliver. Sorry, that's the line. Yeah. We've got who washes a towel? What am I going to? What am I going to do? Each shower, next shower, wash a bar of soap.
Yep.
That was a good one too.
Now. They've got, have you been wearing my underwear? And he just says, yes, sometimes. And there's debate about that. So the other ones that I've got, but no, Nick's super relatable episode from him, and just I've always found it, for me personally, a little strange with the whole exclusivity thing. Like, there's one particular relationship I was in where 2 months in, I got asked, I just want to check if you're seeing other people. I'm like, no, why? Are you? Like, it's been 2 months. Like, you think that would be all right? So. I always forget that's something that you have to do, so I can definitely relate to Nick on that aspect. I just kind of figure that most people wouldn't date around after 2 months, but always pays to check.
It does.
GTR, find that relationship,
Yeah. No, you guys mentioned the one I really enjoyed, not because it's funny, but because it's extremely in probably the most negative of ways, very relatable to a phase I used to be in or have been in at one point, where he says, I'm not good at being a boyfriend. I'm good at being that guy that you find yourself spending more and more time with until you meet your husband.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, that's no, Nick, no.
Yeah. It's so true. Like, I mean, I feel like everyone's been in that spot sometime before. Absolutely. But yeah, it's such a good line though.
I love it. And now we'll do Winston's little segment.
What's up, Winston?
There it is. I love when he's looking at Nick at the bar when they're going back and forth, and he says, for years now you've been working with absolutely nothing. And I was like, yeah, okay, fair enough. It's amazing. And my other favorite one is when he's just letting Jess know not to worry about Schmidt's advice, and he says, "Believe me, I don't take advice from Schmidt. Never have, never will, ever." What about you, Ben?
I've got to go with sophisticated man impersonation. That's a big plus. That's a big win for me.
The dance, yeah.
Yes. Sophisticated man dance was definitely on mine. And also when he goes back to Shelby and he goes, "Bup, bup, 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 bup." And I came here to tell you, he goes, "I guess I shouldn't have come here to tell you that by interrupting you." And I was like, that's just, it's so great because it's hilarious. And yeah, you probably shouldn't have interrupted her to tell her that he wants to listen to her more. But I mean, at least he got his point across. And you know, what he wants to do now is asks her out on a date. And you know, it was good. I like that one though. That was probably my favorite.
And now it's time for the douchebag jar, where we pick our favorite Schmidt lines.
Yes. Oh, this was a good one.
Oh my God, I
So
have
good.
so many, but let's just start with you, Erica. What do
Okay.
you have?
So one of my favorite was I use sculpting chutney, which is so like, what is sculpting chutney? I don't even know what sculpting chutney is. I like, what? And then he puts it back up in the bowl. Yep.
Love how
And
he
its
says
pronunciation of chutney.
Chutney. Yes. Yeah.
Chutney or
Chutney.
chutney.
I can't even, yeah, it's so good. It's when he's talking about somebody go get me my towel, it's in my room next to my Irish walking cape.
What is that?
Cape.
What is that even?
But my favorite one out of this episode, because I picked 3, I figured 3 was enough out of the plethora of lines out of this episode. As a lesbian gynecologist, perhaps one of these days, the two of us, we could sit down and talk about OSI. She goes, "Who's OSI?" Our shared interest.
I had that as well.
You literally have my entire list. You just listed it off, and that's I
Perfect.
agree 100%.
But
I
that is
love
my favorite
all of those.
line. OSI is just great. And I say, like, I have definitely integrated OSI into my everyday lingo because it's hilarious. But I mean, obviously, I don't use it in this context. But yes, that
good.
is probably my favorite line. And I just, well, that her character is, like I said, probably one of my favorite recurring characters in the series. And I just love, like, when he's talking about, you know, I thought, you know, having a female roommate, you know, this would bring all of this sex in the apartment, you know, but, and he's like, "You not happening, you never giving up on it, and you sample from the gumbo pot." And just her laugh there is, it's fantastic. It's one of the many reasons she is one of my favorite characters in this series. So love it. Perfect.
But if you had to pick though, what's douchier, sculpting chutney or OSI?
OSI is still my favorite. I mean, the sculpting chutney is terrible, and he does call her Nick's overnight guest in that place too,
That's
which is
true.
awful, awful. And especially because he goes, "I know what her name is," but no, I still the OSI line is. I mean, not only is it kind of douchey, but it's just hysterical, and it gets me every time I watch this episode. So it's perfect. I love it.
What about you, Ben?
I've got a couple of extra ones. I feel like I'm being licked by a golden retriever.
Yes, that was one of my favorites too. I almost put that on my list, but like I said, I try to narrow it down to 3 per episode. So yeah,
It's always
that was
tough. It's always tough.
so hard.
I definitely had the lines that Erica just went through. I also had, "I'll be putting my dehumidifier and my towel in my room where nothing gets wet," without realizing how that sounded. Oh, I don't know what I should be going with. Let's have a look. This is a tough one, isn't it?
Really is. There's so many good lines in this episode. There really are.
I vote OSI.
Yeah, let's go OSI. Yeah.
It's a good one. It's a good one.
It's definitely the douchiest of the lot.
It really is.
Like I said, that last one was great, but there was no intention. Like, he had no idea what he said.
Where nothing ever gets
He knew what he said with OSI. That sounded terrible.
All right, now we're going into our All-American Hero, our MVP of the episode. And for me, this is a very easy one, but we'll start with you, Ben. Who
it's
was
easy
your
for me. I wonder if
all-American
you
hero?
picked the same person. I picked Julia again.
Who did you pick?
Julia.
I don't
Again.
know. Okay, tell me why.
The judgment there. I don't know. There's just something about that character. Yeah, and just obviously the back and forth between her and Nick, and like I said, the fact that I'm sure most people have probably been there in that situation. So I don't know. It was just extremely relatable. But her character is fantastic, and I love just the moments like doing the knitting at is it crocheting at the end? Is that what you call it?
Crochet.
And I just love like the back and forth between her and Jess. I just love that line from Jess about how, what are you knitting there? She's like, I'm knitting a hat. And she's getting super angry. It's so funny. You see that anger management stuff come out, and then
Yep.
she's like, wow, it's a hat for a baby. It's so good. But I love just the character moments between her and Nick, and yeah, she's so good, like in everything she does. But yeah, especially in New Girl, I love just her and Nick's relationship because it's something that I think everyone can relate to. So yeah, I'm gonna go Julia.
What about you, Erica?
I am picking Jess. Jess is mine.
Yes.
I knew it. I knew you'd pick Jess too. So obviously just trying to get Nick to see that Julia's just like most other females, and she throws the signs and she throws the shade and everything else. Your girlfriend's not a dessert person. Like, yeah, that's a little weird, but and oh, she asked me if you were seeing other people and things like that, trying to get Nick to see that, you're still being kind of dumb, not thinking that this is a relationship. Also, this line in particular, regardless of what Jess would have done in this episode, gets her MVP from me. And my checks have baby farm animals on them, bitch. Best line in the episode, possibly this season. That line is just perfect, and I love
Is that
it.
in your little rant to Julia about? And yeah, I like to rock polka dots.
I rock polka dots, and I hate your pantsuit, and I wish it had ribbons on it. And yeah, just standing up for herself, like to Julia, like, yeah, I break for birds, and that's just, it's not, her being like, look, this is me. It's not like for show. These are my big doe eyes. This is not an act. I'm around kids all day. Like, this is just me, and you're that big hard ass lawyer chick. We're different, but we're still, we could still be friends.
Can we talk about her amazing line of Schmidt's like Ellis Island in the 1800s?
Yes. So good. So good.
She was great, yeah.
That was fantastic.
All right, so Jess is MVP.
Jess
Ben,
is
I'm sorry.
Sorry,
So here's the deal. Look, I chose Lizzie Kaplan's character last week, I think.
Mhm.
And I love the actress, I love the character, but this episode is the reason why, like, when I've shared this show with friends, they always say like it's too dorky or too quirky or whatever, and that's just who Jess is in the show. And this is Jess defending who she is, and she kept her cool. She was even more adult about it than Julia was, because, like you said, Ben, like 2 months into it, you don't have to discuss being exclusive. I don't think. Not that they were 2 months, but you know what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
And then wanting to not, like, wanting the other person to say it, and like, come on, I just see Jess being 100% the more sophisticated person in this episode. With her sophisticated guy. And I have a couple of lines here. What is it with you and the blankie thing? I never said the word blankie. I don't talk like Teddy Ruxpin. I love that.
I still have my Teddy Ruxpin pillowcase from when I was little. I just want to point that out. It's somewhere at home. I have it. It's fantastic too.
That's just who Jess is, and I think that's the perfect. This is the perfect episode to validate that. What do you think, Ben? Are you caving in, or do we declare Jess as our all-American
Look,
hero?
I'm still going Julia, but I think as a group, absolutely, Jess had a super strong episode, and if it wasn't Julia, it was going to be Jess. So
Yeah.
I'm happy with Jess.
Nice.
Let's lock in Jess.
Hey.
It's okay to be wrong, guys. Yeah.
It's okay to be wrong.
Okay, now we're gonna find out. Hey, girl, what you doing, Ben?
Oh, what am I doing? Today is my last couple of days of holiday, so I've just been enjoying the summer, really. So just going out there, just hitting the lake, just having a good time, catching up some friends, doing a bit of
Nice.
streaming. Yeah, it's been great. But other than that, nothing much, actually.
Nice. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, anytime.
Now we're moving on to Jake Watch. Any news on that? Anyone? Does Jake
Well,
Johnson know anything?
I think it's clear that Jake's been on holiday,
That's fair.
Okay.
He's just taking a bit of a break. He hasn't got back to us yet, so
Holiday break's a thing.
hopefully in the next few weeks will be nice.
Hey, 2021, new year. It's time.
Yeah, exactly. Hashtag
Hashtag
Jake no.
let Jake know. 100%. Get on that. All right. It's time now for our rating for the episode. I am gonna go with 8 Schmitties for this one. Again, the dynamic between Jess and Julia is fantastic. And the whole story with Jess and her standing up for herself and all of that that pushes it up to an 8 for me. What about you, Erica?
8 Schmitties as well. I think this was a fantastic episode. I think that, again, just really standing up for herself was fantastic. I think all of the guest characters on this episode are fantastic. They're great. And just the whole thing with the towel is awesome in this episode. Like the second storyline in this episode is hysterical, and it's nice just to be able to have 2 solid storylines in the same episode. And again, it's one of the funniest episodes I think this season. So yeah, definitely 8 Schmitties.
Nice. Ben, what about you?
I'm gonna go 6.5 Schmitties out of 10. Yeah. So I thought, wow, there were definitely some strong moments. I think the Winston storyline for me wasn't that great. We did see some growth in that character, which is good, but I don't know, there was just something about that particular storyline. It just didn't quite gel with me. But the rest of it I thought was great. So yeah, 6.5.
Okay. Like you said, it's okay to be wrong, Ben. No, I don't like the Winston storyline either. I get it, but it brings it up. The Jess storyline especially with Julia, like those two
Especially
characters.
I think some of the comedy and the Winston stuff didn't quite hit. Like there was that weird scene with him and sorry, what was his ex's name?
Shelby.
Yeah, at the bar. Like I was just like that didn't quite hit. Like it was meant to be a comedic beat, but there was something a little bit weird about it, and some of the scenes between him and her. So
yeah, I feel like they didn't add enough. Like further into this season, when we see a bit more of Shelby, I feel like it kind of fits better. But this particular episode, I feel like it fell short because it needed more. I feel like more substance. Like it was just not enough. And like you said, the first scene of them at the bar together when he took her out for a drink at the place she worked where she got a water, it just didn't seem, it didn't work right for me. And it just, I mean, like I know they were just kind of like a friends with benefits thing before she was a one night stand or whatever they refer to her as, even just like without where he's like, so your place or mine, it just didn't feel right like that. Like the second date kind of felt a little bit better, but I don't know, something about his storyline in this episode just didn't really work well for me.
And we got so much growth from his character in the Bells episode, and it almost felt like we're just back to like he hadn't learned anything, like we're back to square one. Like I don't know.
I agree.
I have a feeling that's going to happen a lot, though, because
I guess it's the way of the TV series, But
he does get a lot more later on, which is good. But yeah, this episode just really didn't fit well for me with Winston, sadly. So there'll be more though.
Yeah.
Yay.
All right. That about wraps it up for us for this episode. Erica, we have some new things on the Patreon.
We are going to be revamping the Patreon within the next week. So we're going to just be dropping some tiers. So we're just going to be having kind of like an entry level, hey, thanks. We're going to have an early access and then just a producer tier. So we're going to be, just like I said, revamping some things, making it a little bit more accessible, a little bit more user friendly, and just some cool things that we hope you guys are all enjoy. So check that out. It'll be all set and ready in the next week or two. So come on, check it out. It's just Patreon official, unofficial podcast. So the link will be somewhere in here.
Right
Mhm.
here.
And Ben, where can they watch? Where can they find the rest of the links?
The oupod.com is definitely the best place to go to check out all things official and unofficial. You can check out the Die Hard review that we did, the table reads that we have coming up, all these great episodes for New Girl in review. The oupod.com.
Yeah.
Nice. And while you're at it, maybe stop by at your podcast service provider thing and give us a 5-star review. Why not?
Yeah, I
Like,
see we've
follow,
got two on,
subscribe.
there now.
Uh-huh.
So shout out
Yeah.
to 2 people who gave us 5-star reviews.
We appreciate you.
We appreciate you and thank you.
One of them
very
might have been
much.
me. Okay, but still over the new year, that's great. Okay.
We'll take that as a win. Okay, and until next time, keep it unofficial.